It's Tuesday, May 14, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. So glad you can join us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. The island's teachers have been summoned by their bargaining agent, the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, to tackle the vexing issue of violence in schools at a mass meeting tomorrow. And they have the support of the Ministry of Education. In a statement issued this evening, Chief Education Officer Karen Bess said in solidarity with teachers, all schools will be closed at 1 p.m. tomorrow to allow teachers to attend the meeting. It's a move welcomed by the BSTU President, Mary Redmond, who tells Barbados Today teachers are anxious to find a solution to the worrying problem.
People are threatened. They feel very threatened, in the school environment. We heard of another incident just today, and somebody from a school shop steward called me, and it is not nice what is happening out there. It's very scary. So people are looking forward to be able to voice their concerns, and not only are we having a meeting to voice the concerns, but we are interested in coming up with possible recommendations to make at the level of the ministry and at the schools. If we get our collective heads together and see how best, because this problem requires short, medium, and long-term action.
Following tomorrow's meeting, the BSTU will get to share the outcome with Prime Minister Mia Mottley, Education Minister Santia Bradshaw, and other senior education officials at talks at government headquarters on Saturday. That meeting will also discuss the disrepair of schools and inadequate amenities. The Barbados Workers Union has joined calls for changes to the country's labor laws. Just yesterday, the Barbados Employers Confederation raised concern about the impact of labor laws on employers, but the BWU General Secretary Tony Moore tells Barbados Today that the laws such as the New Employment Rights Act contain too many loopholes and grey areas that put workers at a disadvantage.
The BWU regards that there are a number of labor laws that need improving, starting with one of the most recent ones that was passed, the Employment Rights Act. That is a piece of legislation in itself that has been designed, or in its concept was to bring greater rights or to enforce the rights of workers. But in the implementation, we have recognized that there are so many gaps, so many things that, although by design the intent was there, in the rollout, workers are not being as protected as we would like. So in that area, for one, we would like to see some changes. Of course, there needs to be modification in a number of other areas. We've come a long way in occupational safety and health, but there are changes that need to be made there. The BEC and other organizations will have their own constituent base where they may recognize the need for changes in specific areas. But as workers, we also have a number of considerations, even as it relates to the public sector legislation.
Moore was speaking on the sidelines of the 11th meeting of the International Labour Organization on the way at the Accra Beach Resort and Spa, being held under the theme Shaping a Brighter Future of Work for the Caribbean. Labour Minister Colin Jordan told the gathering while there were myriad changes in the world of work to contend with, he was particularly concerned about youth employment.
We all know the severe consequences of high levels of youth unemployment. At best, some young persons may accept non-standard employment or employment in the informal sector where social protection is either very limited or even non-existent. And this is by no means an acceptable best. At worst, these disenfranchised young people may resort to deviant behaviors that are harmful not just to themselves, but to others, impacting our country's security, leading to the breakdown of our communities.
In other news this Tuesday, Maritime Affairs and Blue Economy Minister Kirk Humphrey today warned ship operators that Barbados will not tolerate any littering in its marine space. He was at the time addressing a ceremony to christen the cargo vessel MV Tropic Island at the Bridgetown port.
There's a responsibility now being placed on the people with whom we do business. I have read and I've seen in circumstances where countries allow ships to operate in their territorial waters, sometimes not necessarily tropical. I've never heard of you doing it, but that there's some ships that engage in behaviors on the waters that they should not. In relation to pollution, in relation to dumping, some still having to be dragged before courts and fined. That's not who we are. Barbados has now created for itself a blue economy that is committed to protecting the ocean. This ocean serves all of us. 90% of what we import comes through this port in Barbados, which means that we therefore need to take better care of the ocean.
The MV Tropic Island is owned by Tropical Shipping, which has acquired 6 new ships through a $150 million investment. Chairman of the Barbados Port Inc., Senator Lisa Cummins, welcomed the vessel, saying it was an important development as the island strives to develop the best niche port in the world.
So we've already started making strides towards that. We have in one of our sheds already started a project which looks at our process flows, because we understand that turnaround times matter. Minister made mention of that. Productivity matters, and so we're looking at what the end-to-end transactions are going to be looking like. And we've been looking at our key performance indicators. The team in the operations division have been working and leading on that so far. We know what the turnaround times look like. We know what the dwell times look like by container. We know how many TEUs we're handling in any given year, and we know what the labor manning levels look like and what they could and should look like. And we are committed at the level of the port to ensure that not only do we deliver productivity, that we deliver speed, but we deliver cost efficiency as well.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back to regional developments now. Several prominent politicians in Jamaica are yet to get the all clear from the Integrity Commission in relation to their 2017 statutory declarations. Commissioner of the Integrity Commission, Pamela Monroe Ellis, explained that the process is being held up because of the lack of supporting document to allow for an examination of their declarations. We get more in this report from Television Jamaica.
It's not just for a declarant to indicate what the asset and liability is at the 31st of December, but incumbent on that declarant is the requirement to provide evidence to support whatever it is that is reported. Where a declarant has failed to provide all that information, then it is considered to be not completed. I can report that as of today, the status remains the same.
Those in breach are Prime Minister Andrew Holness, State Minister in the Labour Ministry Xavier Main, Luther Buchanan, Leslie Campbell and Ian Hales, as well as former parliamentarians Rel Reid, Arnaldo Brown and Keith Walford. Mrs. Monroe Ellis, however, says action against those still without clearance has been held up by the non-appointment of a Director of Corruption Prosecutions. She said that appointment must be cleared up quickly for action to be taken.
And finally, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told Russia on Tuesday that Washington would brook no interference in the 2020 U.S. presidential election. He also urged Moscow to take action to show there would be no repeat of its suspected 2016 meddling.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met with his Russian counterpart in Sochi Tuesday, the two vowing to improve relations between their countries despite their many, many differences.
We had a frank discussion about many issues, including many places where we disagree. The United States stands ready to find common ground with Russia as long as the two of us can engage seriously on those issues.
It's the highest-ranking chat for the two countries since Trump met with Vladimir Putin last July in Helsinki. And now, Washington and Moscow find themselves on opposing sides on virtually every major global conflict.
And that's news. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.